Good evening and welcome to NewsNight. Tonight we'll have all your international, national, and local news. I'm Robert Fornatero.
And I'm Juliana Brock. We are just 6 days out from Election Day, with candidates making their final moves in these last couple of days. We'll have updates on their rallies and some possible voter interference.
Also, tensions in the Middle East continue to escalate, with Israel launching attacks in the region and a suspected terrorist attack taking place within Israel's borders.
All this and more coming up on NewsNight. Three more have been injured after a truck slammed through a bus stop on Sunday. The incident, which happened near an Israeli military base north of Tel Aviv, is currently being investigated as a suspected terroristic attack on the country. Emergency services were reportedly called to the Glilot Junction at around 10 a.m. local time with reports of a truck crash. A medic for Israel's emergency services said, quote, "A truck hit dozens of people who had disembarked at a bus stop. 8 of the wounded were trapped under the truck and others were lying and walking near it," end quote. Many of the individuals injured in the report were tourists on a trip to a nearby museum. The driver of the truck, Rami Natur, from the town of Kwalinsawi in central Israel, was shot by a civilian at the scene and later pronounced dead. An eyewitness told Unet, quote, "Around me, everyone was injured and bleeding, and others were in shock. It looked like an accident at first, but then shots were fired at the terrace," end quote. Later, National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir called for the family of the attacker to be deported from Israel. With this attack happening during the already ongoing war between Israel and Gaza, many are in fear for what the future holds. This past Monday, an Australian court was busy with the assault charges on a woman who had assaulted the 51-year-old Indigenous senator in May. The senator, Lydia Thorpe, was assaulted on May 25th while enjoying an Australian rules football match in Melbourne. Ebony Bell assaulted her. The two women did not know each other, but to this day, no reason has been given for why Bell assaulted the senator. Bell was arrested on July 25th and was supposed to appear in court this past Monday. Her lawyer, Manny Nicolosi, did, but Bell herself was nowhere to be seen, according to her lawyer, because of, quote, "recent threats," end quote. Therefore, Bell attended the case by video and will do so again in her next appearance on November 22nd. The damage caused to the Senate didn't seem to be severe in the first place, as police recorded the assault as the Senate sustaining minor injuries. But the senator reported on Monday that she had, quote, "serious nerve and spinal injuries in her neck, which required spinal surgery and a plate to be inserted," end quote. This isn't the first time that the senator has been in the news recently. The first time the Senate talked to the public about the assault after her outburst against King Charles III, a very long rant including her yelling, quote, "You are not our king, you are not sovereign," end quote. This isn't the first time that Thorpe made a bold protest in public. She stood out multiple times. For example, being banned from a Melbourne strip club last year due to her abusing male patrons, or blocking a police float in Sydney's LGBTQ Mardi Gras by lying in front of it on the street. Thorpe has missed 16 out of the Senate 44 sitting days in the last year due to the injury that she gained by Bell assaulting her. The Senate claims that her last publicization of the assault is because she, quote, "would have preferred to keep the matter private," end quote. Although these injuries have interfered in her commitment to the Senate, many criticize her for the recent behavior towards the monarch, and at the next senator meeting, it is expected that she will get even more backlash because of her recent actions. A major discovery has been made in Mexico that could show us even more about life in North America nearly 3 millennia ago. Reporter Leslie Krebs has the details for us.
A new lost Mayan city has been unearthed in the Mexican jungle after centuries, and all by accident. The city was found in the state of Campeche and has been named Valeriana after a nearby lagoon. Scientists stumbled upon the city after using LIDAR technology, which scans for structures under vegetation using radar. Researchers believe it to be the second largest city to date, next to the largest being Calakmul, with its size being compared to the city of Edinburgh. They believe it was once home to around 30 to 50,000 people during 750 to 850 AD. Researchers were able to locate at least 2 temple pyramids used for worship, a ball court used for sporting games, and thousands of buildings of various sizes. Scientists are unsure of why exactly the city was abandoned, but believe changing climate was most likely a large cause, with droughts making the land no longer able to provide for its large population. Researchers believe this newfound discovery prompts new suggestions that potentially thousands of more cities are awaiting to be discovered.
On October 26, Israel struck Iranian air defense systems around important energy sites in the country, though they did not hit the energy facilities themselves. Air defense systems were struck in the Ilam province at an oil refinery. Iran is concerned about the attacks because now energy and economic hubs there are vulnerable if more attacks happen. Israel is hoping to send a message with these attacks, as a member of the Iraq-Iran Chamber of Commerce, Hamid Hosseini, said of the conflict, quote, There can be very serious economic consequences for Iran, end quote. Iran did announce that 4 soldiers died during the attacks. Iranian media believe that the casualties total will increase in the upcoming days. The United States reportedly urged Israel not to strike any energy facilities in Iran, with President Joe Biden saying, quote, I hope this is the end, end quote. A horrific case involving thousands of minors is beginning to have perpetrator held for their crimes. Reporter Alyssa Mandarak has the story.
A UK man was sentenced to at least 20 years in prison on Friday for extorting thousands of young girls across multiple different countries. Alexander McCartney was the mastermind in a major pedophilia scheme from 2014 to 2019 when he was initially arrested. He pled guilty to 185 charges of child sexual abuse and for 1 count of manslaughter. However, he is believed to have been in contact with 3,500 girls, mainly over Snapchat. Officials found 64 devices that held tens of thousands of photos of young girls, which he would distribute and use to blackmail his victims. He posed as a teenage girl on different accounts in order to manipulate minors to send him explicit content. A 12-year-old girl victim from West Virginia even died via suicide in 2018 after McCartney attempted to coerce her to include her younger sibling. A former British police officer said, quote, the sheer scale of it and the horrific nature of the harm inflicted on these young girls makes it one of the worst I've ever seen. Don't watch this and think this happens rarely, end quote. Since his sentencing, Snapchat has claimed to implement extra protections for minors on the app when it comes to the ability to communicate with strangers.
After the break, hear about why the state of Pennsylvania is attempting to sue Elon Musk. Also, hear about the major outbreak of E. coli that spread through many states in the country. We'll be right back.
Donald Trump took the stage on Sunday at New York City's Madison Square Garden to continue his campaign and has left many criticizing remarks at the rally. With the election just 6 days away, each candidate is reaching out to every state to get their vote. But this rally appears to have not helped at all, perhaps even harming it. In the opening, comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, who also goes by Kill Tony, referred to Puerto Rico as a, quote, floating island of garbage, end quote. He also made a racist joke about Hispanic individuals and birth control, inferred that Jewish people are cheap and that Palestinians are, quote, rock throwers, end quote. He went further to specifically target an African-American man in the audience eating a piece of watermelon by making a racist remark. Other individuals in the openings of the rally referred to Hillary Clinton as a, quote, sick son of a B word, end quote, and Vice President and presidential candidate Kamala Harris as the, quote, Antichrist, end quote. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani also made remarks towards Harris, saying that she is, quote, on the side of the terrorists, end quote. When Trump took the stage, he referred to Harris as a, quote, train wreck and that her being elected would, quote, gamble with the lives of millions, end quote. Other individuals came on stage with Trump, such as his wife, Melania Trump, billionaire Elon Musk, and former Independent Party candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Harris is up 15 percentage points in New York, so while it is incredibly likely that his rally won't affect who wins in the state, it could possibly affect a swing state like Pennsylvania, where 3.7% of the population is Puerto Rican.
Elon Musk has given out 8 checks in Pennsylvania for registered voters. The most recent $1 million giveaway has caused the Philadelphia district attorney to sue Musk for these giveaways. Many believe that Musk isn't doing this out of the goodness of his heart, but rather is because it's becoming a scheme to influence voters. The district attorney, Larry Krasner, claims that he is, quote, running an illegal lottery in Philadelphia, end quote, and that he has to be stopped as soon as possible. In Musk's defense, he claims that this is not the case and that those who are eligible for a prize have to be registered voters, but this doesn't mean that they are required to do so. He plans to continue to give out $1 million every day until Election Day and, quote, double down on his promise to continue offering the money, end quote. While taking the stage at the campaign rally for Donald Trump last Sunday in New York City, he said, quote, we're trying to get attention for this very important petition to support the Constitution, end quote. The reason the DA believes he has a case is that the federal law clearly states that anyone who, quote, pays or offers to pay or accepts payment, either for registration to vote or for voting, end quote, are in violation of the law, leading to a prison sentence as long as 5 years and a fine of maximum $10,000. Suspicion rises when looking closely at the recent given out checks. For example, those who received a check on October 19th and 20th both happened to be at the pro-Trump rallies and were there in attendance. It starts to show that maybe the checks aren't given at random at all. Additionally, the Department of Justice did warn Musk that the giveaways may violate federal law. Experts that have looked into the case are in doubt. For example, Columbia University Law School professor Richard Briffault says, quote, it clearly violates the spirit of statute, but it is not 100% clear to me that it violates the letter of the law, end quote. On the other hand, a professor at the University of Colorado, Doug Spencer, states, quote, it seems like it really crosses the line, end quote. A shooting in Minneapolis has helped uncover a different crime that took place earlier in the week. Reporter Ruthie Light has more specifics on what took place. Ruthie?
Thanks, Juliana. On Tuesday, October 22nd, Minneapolis man Earl Bennett was shot by St. Paul police officers upon arrival at the scene. Officers reported to the 400 block of Pierce Street, St. Paul, Minneapolis, after multiple callers reported hearing gunshots in the area. According to Sergeant Mike Ernster, St. Paul police spokesman, the officers had tried to get Bennett to retire his weapon, but to no avail. Ernster stated, quote, when officers came across the man, he pointed the gun he had at his own head, and officers began negotiating with him to put it down. Officers followed the man and continued to talk to him in an effort to put the gun down and surrender, end quote. Prior to the incident, officers were unaware of Bennett's identity or what he was suspected of when they encountered and shot him. Upon further investigation, the St. Paul police have since connected Earl Bennett to a small string of shootings in Minneapolis that had occurred earlier in the week. Currently, Bennett is under arrest for involvement in a shooting at a homeless encampment in Minneapolis that killed 2 men and sent a woman to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Police suspect that Bennett was also involved in another shooting on the 35th 100 block of Columbus Avenue, where police found a man behind the Columbus Avenue address with potentially life-threatening injuries.
On Friday, 47-year-old Sarah Boone was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of her boyfriend, 42-year-old Jorge Torres Jr. The Florida woman was found guilty on second-degree murder after she zipped her boyfriend inside a suitcase. The incident happened in 2020 inside their shared apartment. According to the New York Times, during the trial, it was revealed that Boone had no intention to kill Torres Jr., but she was abused by him in the past. Court documents revealed at the time of the incident, Boone thought Torres Jr. could get out of the suitcase on his own, so she decided to go upstairs and go to bed. The next morning, she found him unresponsive and called the police. In the autopsy of Torres Jr.'s body, there were injuries to the back of his head and face, but Boone denied that any physical altercation happened during the time of the incident. Her pre-sentencing will take place in December. A wave of E. coli has been spreading across the country from the very familiar Golden Arches. Reporter Leslie Krebs has the details on what may be causing the outbreak.
McDonald's is facing an E. coli outbreak linked to their Quarter Pounder burgers. The CDC reports in total there being 76 reported cases, 22 hospitalizations, and 1 death across 13 states. Currently, alongside the CDC, the USDA, FSIS, and FDA are also initiating investigations into the outbreak, but are considering this to be a low risk to the public. They are currently still investigating the primary source of the outbreak, but have narrowed it down to just the beef used in the Quarter Pounders and onions as potential sources. Taylor Farms, the supplier of McDonald's onions, has issued a temporary voluntary recall on their onions as a safety measure. Some states have also stopped selling items that use the beef and onions to prevent further infection. The first reported case was marked on September 27th in Colorado. Out of all the affected states, Colorado has seen the most cases, leading with 27, and Montana following in second with 13. ABC reported McDonald's issued a statement on Sunday saying, quote, "We remain very confident that any contaminated product related to this outbreak has been removed from our supply chain and is out of all McDonald's restaurants," end quote. As for symptoms, the CDC reports E. coli causes severe diarrhea and vomiting, stomach cramps and dehydration, and can even lead to kidney problems. The CDC says you should seek hospitalization if you can no longer hold down liquids or spike a fever above 102 degrees.
Multiple ballot boxes were destroyed this past Monday via fire, with one destroyed box in Portland, Oregon, and the other in Vancouver, Washington. Authorities believe that the two incidents are connected and are also related to an October 8th case of an incendiary device being placed at a ballot box in Vancouver. It is believed that hundreds of ballots were destroyed, and the county auditor is instructing all who place their ballot in the box to contact his office for a replacement. Who started the fires and their motivation is still unknown. After the break, hear about the state's plan to invest millions into Pittsburgh's downtown region and the progress the city is making on the University bus line. We'll be right back.
Governor Josh Shapiro just announced a $600 million plan this past Friday that will bring life back to downtown Pittsburgh over the next 10 years. Pittsburgh, in a post-pandemic world, has struggled with declining real estate values and rising street crime. Shapiro and a group of local stakeholders are putting together a vision for the future to improve these circumstances. The plan aims to convert downtown buildings from businesses and offices to residential addresses and new public spaces. It also aims to raise efforts in making the Golden Triangle, also known as Point State Park, clean and safe for everyone, while also better connecting Market Square to Point State Park. Through the help of civic leaders and organizations, the state will raise about $62 million, and a group of companies will raise about $40 million, and $22 million is said to come from the city's Urban Redevelopment Authority. With these donations and efforts, the state says the further money, estimated to be about $377 million, will come from private sector investments. While this project is estimated to take 10 years, Shapiro says he wants to start now. In an interview, he said, quote, "We are moving quickly. The dollars the Commonwealth is investing in these projects will not sit on some developer's balance sheet. They will be used to put shovels in the ground and do the construction necessary to building these housing quickly here in Pittsburgh," end quote. The plan also wants to spend another $30 million to turn parking lots and open spaces in the Cultural District into new outdoor destinations for community engagement. With such a big project, only time will tell if all of its elements will be completed.
In a heartwarming moment for the Pittsburgh community, 9-year-old Jackson Yidi will light the PPG Plays Christmas tree during this year's Light Up Night on November 23rd. Jax, a Greene County resident, is a brave brain cancer survivor who has fought through significant health challenges, including a diagnosis of medulloblastoma last November. Jax's journey has been very inspiring, especially for those around him. His stepmom, Rachel, expressed the joy the family feels about this opportunity, highlighting the significance of the moment after a difficult year. She said, quote, "We didn't think we would get to the point of being able to attend events again as a family." Jax's journey involved multiple surgeries, chemotherapy, and radiation, but he is now in remission and is back to enjoying life with his friends and family, end quote. The tree lighting is part of the annual American Cancer Society Tribute of Light celebration, where volunteers will honor cancer patients, survivors, and their families. Jax will flip the switch at 6 p.m., surrounded by tributes and a supportive community. Reflecting on his experience, Jax said, quote, "To be able to light this tree brings me happiness from everything I have been through," end quote. The event promises to be a celebration of resilience and hope, culminating a festive performance and open skate at the rink. A new art gallery has opened up just a few blocks away from Point Park's campus, showcasing some of the beautiful buildings that surround us. Reporter Alyssa Mandarak has the details on what's displayed and how to visit.
A new art gallery is opened this month in the Benedum Trees building on 4th Avenue. Photographer Chris Heitha and author Mark Hauser have adopted a space on the first floor of the building to show off their collaborative high-rises collection. The collection is a project to showcase the art and history of Gothic and Art Deco-styled skyscrapers in America. The top of each building was photographed floor by floor and digitally stitched together to create a unique perspective of the view. The gallery space houses 30 prints from the collection out of 200 total photo composites. 6 of the photographs featured are from Pittsburgh, including the high-rise it is located in. The space is open to the public with free admission. It is open on Thursday and Friday afternoons from 4 to 7 and on Saturday mornings from 10 to 4. The space will be offering extended hours until 10 on Saturday, November 23rd for Light Up Night. It will be open through mid-December and closed on Thanksgiving. To view the entire collection, you can visit highrises.hythacg.com.
Pittsburgh Police Chief Larry Schrodo announced his resignation and is set to step down next Friday. Schrodo served as police chief for 18 months. Assistant Chief Chris Ragland will serve as acting chief until a replacement is found. In an email announcing his retirement obtained by several Pittsburgh news outlets, Schrodo noted that negative media coverage had become a distraction and that the decision was, quote, "the right course for us all," end quote. Schrodo previously announced last Tuesday that he planned to referee college basketball games in his free time and would take a pay cut and use vacation hours to do so. His plan to referee games was a controversial reversal of an agreement made with the city to stop the practice in 2023. A hit and run took place in Point Breeze over the weekend, with still no answers being found. Reporter Ruthie Light has the latest details on what took place.
Thanks, Robert. On October 23rd, Pittsburgh police were sent to the Point Breeze neighborhood to investigate a reported crash involving a pedestrian, where they assisted with the aid of 51-year-old Vera Petrock, who had been struck by a car. Police officers reported to the intersection of South Dallas and Reynolds Street around 9 a.m. where Petrock lay unconscious and not breathing. CPR was performed on the victim until medics were able to take her to the hospital, where she was eventually pronounced dead. Police say that the driver remained at the scene and was compliant with the officers. Following the incident, traffic was diverted for hours while police investigated. At this time, the police have not disclosed who is to blame for the incident, but area residents say drivers go fast and run red lights often. Point Breeze neighbor Karen Engro commented on the matter, stating, quote, "I wish it surprised me, but I'm not. I've had that thought so many times. Somebody's gonna get killed, and here we are," end quote. At this time, the Pittsburgh Police Collision Investigation Unit is investigating. Back to you, Juliana.
PRT's University Line project hit a new milestone Monday after it began a 2-week phase of painting in new lanes along 5th and 6th Avenue. The new lanes will accommodate expanded sidewalks being built along the two streets. The lanes will also eliminate some street and valet parking spots on both of those streets. The University Line project's first phase began construction in September of 2023 and is expected to conclude by spring of 2025. PRT said students can, quote, "expect more reliable, on-time service," end quote. The project will add new shelters, protected bike lanes, and transit-only travel lanes along routes running between Oakland, downtown, and uptown. When we return, get your weekly weather update as we get closer and closer to winter. Plus, hear a heartwarming story about a well-earned high school diploma when we return.
Take them, cue them, open their mics.
Today marked the 1-year anniversary of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette strike.
Point Park University just hosted a campus-wide meeting.
Plans for the rapid transit bus line are not set to conclude until 2025.
A 99-year-old woman achieved something she's always dreamed of, getting her high school diploma. Unche Rita Long, visitor Holy Dance, had to quit school after the 8th grade to take care of her sick mother. With the help of her friend, grandmother Florida Mayo, whom she met through the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, she was able to achieve her dream. Rio Rancho High School in New Mexico included Unche in their graduation ceremony, along with a party held for her afterwards. Rio Rancho's superintendent said she thinks that this is a moment that will stick with her students forever. So it's the night before Halloween, and all the skies, some spooky dark clouds began to arise. Will it be frightful or delightful out there? Let's go to our reporter Gabriella Waite for a forecast scare.
Good evening, ghouls and goblins. Here's a look at your spectacular Halloween forecast. The only thing scarier than inviting a vampire into your house is the temperatures we are expecting tomorrow. Halloween temps are anticipated to reach a low 80s with dense cloud coverage reaching up to 85%. Overnight, the temperature is expected to drop down to the mid-50s, just enough to send a shiver down your spine. And there is a high probability of showers after midnight. So make sure to keep those capes and cloaks handy, just in case you're caught in a bone-chilling drizzle. Moving on to the rest of the week, you'll see that the weekend is expecting to see a gorgeous fall weather, with temperatures ranging in the low to mid-60s and mostly sunny days. By the beginning of next week, the temperature is going to be closer to the mid-70s, but cloud coverage and rain showers are predicted. Next Tuesday, we'll see warm temperatures reaching the low 70s and mostly sunny with a couple light showers throughout the day. Make sure you grab your umbrella when you go out to cast your vote. All fun And puns aside, remember to stay safe, stay warm, and have a hauntingly good Halloween, everyone. Now let's send it back to the desk.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Newsnight. If you want to see more, check out our social media pages on both Instagram and Facebook at UView Television.
You can also check out more episodes on our YouTube channel or our website, uview.pointpark.edu. I'm Juliana Brock.
And I'm Robert Fornatero. From everyone here at Newsnight, thank you for watching and have a great evening.